Please welcome to the show, Buddy Guy.
Hey, George.
How are you?
Good.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the program. This is a treat.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, man.
Because, you know, when you reach my age, very seldom you see people on music television with wrinkles.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I remember a long time ago, perfect, too fresh after I had a breakup, you were sound checking at a place, and I happened to sneak in the back and watch the sound check. And it was right at the time when I needed to hear a blues man play the blues. And it was perfect. You know, the book is really cool, especially when you open it up and you paint a picture of, you know, a cotton field back in the day and those photographs that people would see in a museum. And you very well easily say, I could be that young boy in that picture. Do you feel like you've seen a part of America that most people have only seen in photographs?
Yes, but I didn't see it in photographs. I saw it for real.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You have an interesting career, too, though, because for the longest time, I mean, you were a busy man and you worked a lot, but for the longest time, you weren't the guy at the front of the stage.
I was always thought I'm still a little too shy to be the guy at the front of the stage. But I was kind of forced into that. I never planned it to be here answering your questions now. I didn't never think I was good enough, and it's in the back of my head now. I shouldn't be here now. You should have, if they would live in Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Lonnie Johnson, and Robert Johnson, and people like that, they could answer your questions, whatever you need, better than I can, because I didn't learn nothing in school. I learned it all from them.
You seem to have avoided some of the drug and alcohol problems that you hear a lot about that really took their toll on a lot of people.
Well, you know, back to the cotton field. My grandmother, my grandfather, my daddy's friends, my grandmother's friends, if I act like I was finna do something wrong, if I missed my homework, I got hit all the way home by friends, uncles, and everybody else. My mother had a stroke before she died, and I was living in Chicago. She had a broomstick beside the bed, and that wasn't to sweep the broom. And I remember that today.
You played so many shows over your career. Do you remember where you were the night Martin Luther King died?
Yes.
Tell me about that night.
New York City. I was playing at the Jimi Hendrix bought the place.
In Greenwich Village?
Uh-huh. I think it's a recording studio now. That's the only place they didn't sell booze that night. And the mayor of the city of New York came out and walked the streets and started to calm the riots. And we all, every other club was selling booze, had to close. And they all came there. That was me, B.B. King, Janis Joplin, and everybody else wound up at this big place in the village and played until daybreak, cried and played. Yeah, all night.
What were you thinking?
Why? You know, and that's what time it was then, man. People was just crazy everywhere, you know. My thinking was, don't nobody want to hear the truth. Like Albert King made a record about everybody want to go to heaven, but don't nobody want to die.
You talk about, you know, asking the question why, you know, the night Martin Luther King died, and there you are getting the man that is President Obama to sing, you know, singing a Robert Johnson tune, right? I mean, That's something.
Well, that's a long way from picking cotton, I can tell you that. Yeah, what happened, there was little rumors in the White House that he was going to come up automatically and say that and sing. And I saw him walking off the stage. I said to myself, I may get embarrassed or get thrown out the White House, but I'm going to say something. And 3 days later, BB called me and said, man, you did it. You got him to sing.
What's the legacy of the Rolling Stones, do you think?
Forever and ever, because they let America know who we were. You know, a lot of Americans didn't know who we was until the Stones and all those British guys just came back and say, matter of fact, they were saying when they was getting famous, it's a British invasion. They would say, wait a minute, now this is Howlin' Wolf, T-Bone Walker, or some of his music like that. And that's when people have come to me personally and say, I didn't know who you was until the Stones showed up. And then I went back and found out who B.B. King and Robert Johnson, because Eric Clapton was doing a lot of Robert Johnson and those people's music, and they were saying, this is not mine. Matter of fact, they went back down there, some of those guys were living in gave them the royalties checks for the songs they wrote.
It's pretty amazing, right?
It was.
When I interviewed both Bobby Rush and Honey Boy Edwards, Honey Boy,
they just told me that.
just the year before he passed, or a couple years before, they had said that what they noticed was that when they started playing blues, it was for a predominantly African-American audience, and somewhere along the line that changed, and that they said that the black population in America stopped buying the blues, and he didn't know, Bobby didn't know why, Honey Boy didn't know why. Just all of a sudden, white guys got into the blues, absolutely. Did you notice a shift?
Well, let me get to that when I ask you this first. This is the funny part. Yeah, we were playing for 99.9 or 100% blacks, I would say. And all of a sudden, this late 50s, you would look out in the audience and there was a white face out there. And the only time you saw a white face in a blues club back then, he was a policeman. And I'd say, well, we got enough money to get the bottle of wine, which was 35, 40 cents. I said, don't pull up the wine because there's a cop out there sitting at the table. And it was Paul Butterfield.
Wow.
Yeah. Michael Bloomfield, you know, some of the other, and finally it was Eric Clapton and some of them sitting. I'm like saying, there's a lot of white cops coming in now, man. They're trying to because, you know, music comes in our language, and a lot, and I hate the question, and I get to ask a lot, do you have to be black or came up through the cotton field to be a good blues player? No, just watch people today who's losing the best jobs they ever had, and used to didn't have to look back and worry about what we sang about. I lost my job in the steel mill 5 years ago and can't go back. Ain't no more steel mill. That's not only happening to blacks, that's happening to whites too, man. You know, those, I read somewhere lately why some airline pilot is a painter now because the airlines laid him off, you know. So this is what we sing about everyday life.
Everybody's got the blues, right?
Everybody got the blues, whether you realize it or not. You got it.
You got to read this book, When I Left Home, My Story. And Buddy, by the way, is touring Canada in September. We have all the dates for you on the website at Stroumbo.com. It's great to see you, sir. Real honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Buddy Guy, everybody.